Good evening. My name is Bill Torrance. I'm Superintendent of Student Achievement for Program here at the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board. On behalf of our Director, Don Danko, and our Director of Education, Cheryl Robinson Petrozzini, and the rest of my colleagues at Executive Council, I thank you for coming out tonight for our Elementary Focus Programs information session. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. The Hamilton Wentworth District School Board acknowledges our presence on ancestral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee Confederacy land as determined by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty. The intent of this agreement is for all nations sharing in this territory to do so responsibly, respectfully, and sustainably in perpetuity. We respect the long-standing relationships with the local Indigenous communities, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Six Nations of the Grand River. And on a personal and professional reflection, I continue my learning journey to absolutely acknowledge my role as a settler on this land and to understand how in my position and in my role I can contribute to truth and reconciliation with our Indigenous people. Tonight's agenda starts with a background. We'll run approximately an hour. Background in terms of why we're here tonight, explanation around the application process, a presentation developed by the teachers within the programs, the 6 separate elementary focus programs, including student voice through video, and for one of the programs, narration from our students as well. We'll finish with the remainder of the hour in a question and answer. Please use our chat function, and I'll show you where that is in just a moment, to provide questions throughout, and then we'll endeavor to answer common questions at the end of the session. Family-specific questions or specific questions in terms of a circumstance, we're not really able to answer. I would suggest connecting with the school whose program you're interested in for questions of that nature. We will be really working at that application level and broadly around the programs themselves. This is a reminder for those families who have Arabic, Chinese, Urdu, Korean, Hindi, or Persian as a first language, that you are able to caption this presentation. And it is also a reminder that this presentation is being recorded. As I mentioned, you'll see that in your live event, a Q&A. Please ask your questions there, and then we will work to answer as many as we can within the end of the session. We do end at 8 o'clock. Pardon me, we do end at 7 o'clock.
2021-22, the board reviewed its 6 elementary focus programs. These 6 programs were created through a series of different HWDSB initiatives and were organized under that title of focus programs within our elementary program strategy. The review focused on how well the programs accommodate the needs of our entire community and removes barriers for those who are historically and currently underserved. It also focused on if the programming was making a difference in the lives of our students, focused on both academics and well-being. And finally, it explored how feasible it was to maintain the programs and if the programs were still following their original mandate. In June of 2022, the program committee and subsequently the board approved the following recommendations from staff. All 6 elementary focus programs were to remain open at their current locations. The programs themselves would not expand further by offering additional sites or to increase staffing. Systemic barriers to accessing the programs discovered. Accessing programs was found to be a barrier In June of 2022, the program committee and subsequently the board approved the following recommendations from staff. All 6 elementary focus programs were to remain open at their current locations. The programs themselves would not expand further by offering additional sites or to increase staffing. Systemic barriers to accessing the programs discovered through the review were to be addressed by creating a system application process, which will be reviewed this evening, and a communication strategy to ensure that all HWDSB parents are aware of the programming, and in developing strategies to mitigate financial and transportation barriers. The trustees also support the recommendation that the programs needed to receive detailed feedback regarding their operations, any barriers for student participation, and about their adherence to the program mandates. And finally, that a report needed to come back to the program committee and then the board in 2022-23. That report has been presented to the program committee and will be presented to the full board in February. Accessing programs was found to be a barrier through the review, specifically the different application processes at each school. Therefore, we have created a central application process modeled on our grade 1 French immersion application process. The application is used at the entry point to the program. Families that are already in a program are not required to reapply. As with French immersion, we will use a random selection process to offer placements rather than having a criteria and applications that evaluates different applicants. You'll note that we are asking for very limited information. We are not going to ask for an individual education plan or report cards. We will place siblings if space is available in the program prior to the random selection. And we will develop wait lists managed by the schools if there are more families than spaces and we cannot meet demand for the program. So I will just reinforce and underline that there are limited spaces in each program, and we may not be able to meet the demand and offer all families a placement. This slide provides a screenshot of our home web page for our elementary focus programs with the link. In the application, when it opens tomorrow, February 2nd, you'll be asked for some basic personal information. And if you are currently have your child in a public school in Ontario, the Ontario education number on your child's report card. You'll also be asked to create a username and login. We'll ask through that application for you to select the program you're interested in your child in attending. We'll ask you to indicate if there's a sibling already in the program. We'll ask you to answer 2 open response questions around why you are interested in having your child in the program and how can the school best support your child. It's an opportunity to provide some really personal information around why your child is best suited to the program and how the school can support your child to be successful. Each program will ask some specific questions to support the application process. We would like to acknowledge and ask you to acknowledge that there will not be transportation for the programs, that if you do not live in the catchment of the school, then transportation is not provided. And we will also provide some additional information about each program. Each program has a different entry point, and our application process only accepts applications from these entry points. For the hockey program, it's grade 7. For the Mandarin Transitional Language program, it's students in kindergarten, entering kindergarten, or grade 1. For the Scholastic Arts and Global Education program, it's students entering kindergarten, or grade 1. For the Scholastic Arts and Global Education Quest program, it's grade 6. For the Sports Academy basketball program, it's grade 6. For the Sports Academy High Potential program, it's grade 7. I do want to emphasize that current students in the program do not need to reapply. We are asking for applications for the coming year for new students to the program at these entry points. If there is a student in your family that has optional programs, HWDSB does not provide transportation to the elementary focus programs for families that are out of catchment to those programs. Families in catchment to the programs, if they're already eligible for transportation, will continue to receive it. 2 of the programs, the hockey program and the sports academy, both charge fees. Fees should not be a barrier to a family being interested in the program, and if financial support or the waiving of fees is required for a student to access the program, please contact the school directly. If you are interested in having your child attend the programs, the application form opens on February 2nd and then runs for 3 weeks until February 23rd. By March 3rd, we will be making notifications to families of their placement in the program or their placement on a wait list.
For general questions regarding the focus program, please email info@hwdsb.on.ca with the subject line Focus Program Applications. For questions about specific programs, please email the Associated Elementary School with the program name in the subject line.
We will now begin our program by program descriptions, starting with the hockey program at Tapley Town. Hockey program is located at 390 Mud Street East in Upper Stony Creek at Tapley Town Elementary School. The hockey program offers a unique learning opportunity to blend academics with a student's athletic passion. The inherent nature of the program creates an inclusive environment where like-minded learners navigate the Ontario curriculum and develop life skills such as self-discipline, time management, and leadership capabilities. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the day begins in the classroom at Tapley Town Elementary School. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, students begin the day on the ice at the Mohawk Quad Ice Center. The hockey program is a 2-year program beginning in grade 7. Candidates should be able to skate, enjoy hockey, and want to improve their athletic ability. They should enjoy collaborating with others in academic, athletic, and social pursuits. The program focuses on setting high expectations in 3 areas: academic achievement, athletic development, and social well-being. Students in this program share a similar passion for hockey, and they together build an inclusive learning environment both on and off the ice. This school year, the students participate in 60 on-ice learning opportunities at the Mohawk Quad Ice Center. Individual skills and situational play are developed through drills, activities, challenges, and games. On-ice sessions focus on individual skills such as skating, passing, shooting, stick handling, playing, checking, and sportsmanship. It has to be noted that this is really a program for anyone who's interested in hockey at any ability level, as long as you can skate and you have hockey equipment. The off-ice program focuses on developing speed, agility, quickness, balance, flexibility, nutrition, and athletic coordination. Sport-specific strength and conditioning training focuses on long-term athletic development. Students also participate in floorball crossover training. Sport-specific on and off-ice activities which align with the Ontario Health and Physical Education curriculum are the backbone of the program. Within the hockey program, students engage in collaborative learning with their peers to learn the Ontario curriculum through sports-focused classroom learning opportunities. The program allows students to develop friendships with other students from across the board and collaboratively build a welcoming and inclusive environment where all students feel safe, supported, and welcomed. The 2022 Elementary Focus Program Review found that the hockey program has benefited students by improving and maintaining their academic achievement as compared to students in their cohort. Students also saw positive changes in their engagement towards school, leadership skills, hockey skills, and time management. During the Elementary Focus Program Review, parents in the hockey program identified developing physical skills, leadership, and friendships as the top 3 benefits to their children participating in the program. Please take a minute to read some of the statements from parents or caregivers who have had their children enrolled in the hockey program.
I really like the hockey program because I get to meet a lot of new people who share my interests, such as hockey and like other sports.
I enjoy the hockey academy because it's helpful with kids who are older or like better with shots and stuff like that shooting on me. It's extra 2 hours on the ice every Tuesday, Thursday, and it's really fun making new friends from different skills with different hockey skills.
My favorite things about the hockey academy are we go on the ice twice a week, and all of our projects are about hockey.
What I really like about being in this program is all my new friends, how fun it is, the teaching, and the leadership that comes with some of our teamwork.
The Mandarin language transition program started in 2007 with 5 students and gradually developed into a kindergarten to grade 3 program, and later extended from kindergarten to grade 5 by the request of the community. It was researched by the OISE Language Group to prove that students in the program benefited academically, socially, and culturally compared to being in an English language program. This program is located at Coots Paradise Elementary School in Westdale. The Mandarin Language Transition Program follows the Ontario curriculum in all subject areas. The goal is for students to build off of their knowledge of Mandarin in the acquisition of English. Students use Mandarin as a resource to develop their English language skills. Students whose first language is Mandarin, as well as students from outside of the catchment of the HWDSB, are welcome to join the program. Students have great opportunities within the program to interact with students from throughout the entire school community and to develop their social skills, social English, and get to know friends outside of their classes. This program allows students to develop a series of competencies through the curriculum, including acquiring social and academic English skills. that emphasizes well-being, inquiry, global education, the arts, experiential learning, and STEAM, meaning science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Students can continue this program at SageQuest at the middle school level. The SAGE program is located at Strathcona Elementary School, and registration is open to students entering kindergarten to grade 1. What does this mean? Specifically, educators know that their students and create programming that's culturally responsive and developmentally appropriate for their students. Families are encouraged to participate at whichever level is appropriate to them. Educators intentionally make connections to local and global issues, STEAM as well. These connections are made through experiential learning and inquiry that meets the students at their level of readiness. SAGE is an inclusive program open to all students, and there are benefits for many different students with many different learning profiles. Family involvement is encouraged and can take many forms. For example, parents or guardians may volunteer in the classroom or the school community. They may join committees, support field trips or in-school programs, and help to prepare classroom materials. Some families get involved by sharing their own unique skills, interests, and backgrounds through workshops and lessons. However, none of this is a requirement for your child's participation in the program. The best way to learn more about who would benefit from the program is to hear from students. SAGE is an inclusive program open to all students.
What's one of the best parts of being in SAGE in grade 1?
You can be in SAGE is a special program where we don't do stuff that all the classes do. We play outside, and sometimes if it's a special occasion, we get to play with the grade 2s and 3s.
The grade 2s and 3s from the other SAGE programs?
On Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays you play with the other kids in SAGE?
Wait, but today's Monday.
And what's your favorite part of the SAGE program in grade 3?
I like to do a lot of art, and we get to make Lunar New Year art for people, and we get to hang it up in the boards.
Can you tell me more about what you make?
We make lanterns, we made dragons, we're making masks with like shapes and stuff, and I really love it.
Awesome, thank you.
Something about the classroom that I feel like other classrooms should do is we have like, if you're feeling down, we have like really upset, we have a calming corner.
Oh, that's nice. And why is that a nice thing to have?
Because there's like all sorts of like posters in it of all the breathings. You can have like 5-finger breathing, rainbow breath, and stuff like that.
And how does that make you feel?
It calms you down.
Educators share similar perspectives when talking about the SAGE program. The Scholastic Arts and Global Education program serves students from grades 6 to 8 at Gannett Elementary School. Here's a short video that students created just a few weeks ago to let you know about the program.
SageQuest is very welcoming.
SageQuest because you get to meet amazing people for 3 years.
SageQuest means a lot to me because I have a diverse class and I learn from everyone.
This is a classroom where everyone is unique and no one is scared to be themselves.
Learning new things about the whole world.
So what is SageQuest? SageQuest is a place where students engage in their individual scholastic pursuits by exploring academics through an arts and global education mindset. The program boasts a large, spacious, and flexible classroom that invites students to work alongside one another in inquiry-focused ways. A safe and inclusive classroom is fostered and promoted as students develop lifelong friendships over 3-year journeys. Cross-curricular inquiries spark students to ask questions about the world around them as they broaden their personal perspectives and critically analyze basis. With a global social justice lens, students explore the Ontario curriculum and grow their critical consciousness through rich discussion.
Supported by a strong local community at Kanescoray, students grow over their 3 years in a rich learning community. Kanescoray, from the Mohawk language, means the school by the bay. Located in Hamilton's Lower City, Kanescoray shares its property with a local Hamilton Recreation Center, Hamilton Tennis Club, and the Hamilton Amateur Athletic Association grounds. This beautiful property affords the students spaces within and outside the classroom for flexibility and rich inquiries that both excite and challenge.
Why might your student want to apply? SageQuest is a place where students engage with inquiry-based learning, a learning approach that begins with posing questions, problems, or scenarios. The SageQuest educator takes on the role of the facilitator, co-learner, or promoter, as the class sets out on a journey of discovery. Whether learning about environmentally friendly packaging for shipping valuables and then creating biodegradable solutions in the lab, to solving a problem using coding or app development through the design thinking process. Students will explore alongside one another and solve problems in a local, national, and global context. As students develop deep roots of empathy, they will grow in their awareness of the feelings of others and in the world around them. They learn to be genuinely curious about each other, imagining themselves in someone else's shoes, discovering similarities and diversity, and become more attentive listeners who validate and encourage. Over the 3 years in SageQuest, students appreciate the international community of care built to support each of their unique journeys.
So are you thinking this might be the right place for you? You should consider SageQuest if you get excited about using the arts and social justice to look critically at the world around you while being the driver of your learning journey. Come take on leadership in our flexible classroom and take a moment to ponder alongside us as we discover the change makers we are hoping to become.
Welcome to Riddell! Sport or sports of choice?
I play basketball and golf.
Hockey, baseball, and hockey.
Baseball. Basketball.
Basketball and soccer. Volleyball and hockey.
Soccer, hockey, and boxing.
Basketball. Soccer. What are your classmates like here at RA Riddell?
They're nice, kind. We're really competitive and we like to challenge each other.
Yeah, I actually love them because it's like a family to me. You know, they always welcome me. I always have fun with them.
I love my classes. I made lots of new friends and the experience was so fun. Like being able to compete against everyone. They're competitive. They're nice. They're very friendly and inclusive. Very supportive. If you make a mistake in gym class, they're like give you a high five. They're like cheer you on.
The old school is definitely a bit more laid back, and some people didn't try, but here everyone just giving back.
they like cheer you on even if you mess up.
Everybody here is way more competitive.
They're all really athletic, and it's really good to be in an environment where everyone is just as athletic as you are.
They're really good and they're competitive and help me improve at my sport.
They're kind of all really just motivated to strive to get where they want to be at the sport.
They're all competitive, try their hardest at school and sports.
Everyone here is more of a family, and they all have one thing that's more in common with everyone else.
They like to be active and have high energy.
And it was easy to make friends because they're all like me.
What do you like about coming to Riddell that you didn't have at your old school?
I like about coming out is they never make you sit on your class because you're too good, or they don't make you sit still because it's too good, or they don't make you try to not express your talent.
The RA Riddell Sports Academy is comprised of two focus programs, the Basketball Academy and High Potential Academy. The Basketball Academy has 3 classes made up of students in grades 6, 7, and 8, while the High Potential program has 2 classes of grade 7 and 8. The mission of the basketball program is to connect middle school students and what they are passionate about, basketball, to their education, with a strong emphasis on a healthy competitive mindset, athlete longevity, leadership, and school development through practical games approach. The advantages of the basketball program include being able to concentrate on the sport of basketball exclusively in your athletic skill development. There is physical education classes daily led by a specialist teacher. There is a flexible academic schedule. There's a hardwood floor in our facility. We have a partnership with McMaster University, and you also receive strength and conditioning. The High Potential program focuses on developing fundamental movement skills that are applicable across many different sports. There is a continuum of skill development from elementary to high school and post-secondary education. The physical education classes offered are enhanced with high performance training. There are also leadership opportunities within the school community that occur through the program. Students who would excel in this program included those that are motivated athletes, who are good teammates, they're passionate about striving to be better both academically and athletically, and students who require some flexibility in their academic program. Here's some information about RA Riddell. It is a kindergarten to grade 8 school of 740 students. It has a very diverse student population and a culture of high expectations. There's an athletic focus across the school with many opportunities for student involvement in activities and leadership. There's a focus on developing leadership through a true sport principle that speaks to fair play. All students are encouraged to value and appreciate each other's identities. Here are some of the voices of parents, guardians, and families gathered during our recent review.
I'd like to thank everyone for sitting and viewing and listening to our presentation. We're now moving to the question and answer period here in the last 20 minutes or so. Nick Benner from our communications division is with me tonight, and Nick is going to share some questions with me. I will come back onto the microphone and repeat the question and provide the answer. I'll just note that throughout our session, Nick has been answering the questions he was able to get to through the Q&A. So if you've asked a question, there may be an answer there right now. We're looking for some common questions and very, in a sense, general questions. Specific questions about something to do with your child, we're not able to answer that. But we can provide some information about the programs and information around the application process. So I'm just going to put myself on mute here for a second and confer with Nick before coming back. So there's an excellent question in regards to how large the application pool may be. That's an excellent question, because we've really, as I outlined in the beginning, we've really focused on trying to have transparent communication throughout our entire school community to raise awareness of the programs. We have limited spaces, and our commitment is not to grow the programs, but we wanted to make sure that all parents were aware of them. So in a sense, we're in a position where we're really learning from this year's process. Our previous process was smaller presentations at each of the schools. So we're expecting to have a sizable number of applications and likely a wait list at most programs, if not all. Yeah, there's a question here in terms of the basketball programs and the high performance at Riddell, and if they interact and with each other, and they do. There's opportunities. The programs are very closely aligned. Timetabling within the school doesn't mean this is happening continuously, but certainly there are shared opportunities amongst those 5 classes to participate in a variety of different activities through the school year. More information can be provided by RA Riddell. I see some questions as well in regards to families who have children who are older than the entry age and wondering about the application process. So as I noted earlier, and for anyone who's come late, we are using the application process for the entry point of the grade, entry point, pardon me, of the program. Families who already have a child in a program do not need to reapply. Your child stays in the program. We're actually just having that entry. That said, there may be space within the older grades of our programs. And if you have a child who is, for instance, in grade 3 and interested in the SAGE program, which has a kindergarten to grade 1 entry point, please contact the school. The principal can support you in terms of knowing if there is space within the program. I see that there's been some questions also in terms of getting accurate and timely information about the programs. As we've noticed, contacting the school specifically about a program is important, but please do feel free to email us at info@hwdsb.on.ca with the subject line Focus Program Applications, and we will respond very quickly to your question and provide an answer as soon as we possibly can. So there's a question around the random selection process. And so does that mean that sports-specific focus programs, there might be a student at a different skill level being selected over someone at a higher skill level? And yes, that's exactly right. So the high performance in the basketball program specifically, they do have a criteria in terms of interest and students being of a high potential for athletics, but we do not, for instance, have some sort of series of tests that we'll be doing. We're actually trying to create a fair and transparent process. So when we know a student has high athletic potential or participates at a high level in sports for that high potential program, then obviously they're eligible to apply. We want to work closely with families to meet their needs and interest in the programs, but we also have to ensure that we have a program application process that is free of bias. And there is a question really around transportation. It asks that maybe are parents required to drop off and pick up students who are out of catchment? And the answer is yes. If your child lives out of catchment to a program school, you as a parent are required, or a family is required, to provide your own transportation. Transportation is not provided to out of catchment students in these programs. There's a question, can you apply to 2 programs? And absolutely you can, if that is your interest. Certainly, we would be asking you to make a selection of which program, if you were choosing to make sure we had space in the program for one of the programs for another family. Repeating the email is another question, and I can. It's info at HWDSB.on.ca. So there's a question around continuity being guaranteed for students leaving SAGE and heading to grade 6 at Sage Quest. That's our intent. That is our goal. We do have to be mindful of space requirements. So we're hoping that we're able to provide that to students leaving SAGE and moving into Sage Quest. Certainly we will look at that within that program. Spaces available at the hockey program in Tapleytown. Very good question. It's one classroom with 25 total spaces. There are some grade 7s in the program right now. And those students, most of whom we expect to be continuing on into grade 8. So I don't, not able to provide, you could ask that at the school level, that exact number at this point, as enrollment can change. However, we are maintaining wait lists if we're unable to offer a placement, for the exact reason that a family may move to another school board or make a decision to move out of the program, opening other spaces between now and the beginning of September, or even potentially in the next school year. Just moving through the questions now. Okay. So there's a question around, are the teachers specialized? Do they have training for the program and specific to SAGE? Another really great question. So depending on the program, there is a level of expertise and specializations from the teacher. For instance, our teacher coach at Tapleytown in hockey has a deep experience with his within hockey and developing skills in hockey. In terms of the SAGE program, we're actually support all the programs, but certainly we're supporting the teachers in the SAGE program with professional development. There isn't a specific qualification for SAGE, but certainly those who are teaching it have interest and expertise in the arts, in using inquiry, in creating that and fostering the environment outlined within the program. The Mandarin language program, again, most of the teachers within the program, there's been times when we've we face a shortage, have Mandarin language as a first language that they use as a resource to teach their students. Not necessarily first language, could be a subsequent language, of course, but they do have that. There's a question around applications considered in random selection. Are they filtered first to ensure fit? So when we do a random selection process, that ranking, let's call it, or selection process, that will remain in place. Of course, we'll ensure that, for instance, a family has applied to the correct program or the correct grade, and ensure that we have all the correct information in place. There may be some instances where there is the preference is something to do within the program. So I'll give you an example related to hockey, where certainly the hockey program requires 2 goalies, and there may be a need for a goalie. So a goalie may be the first goalie in the random selection process would be offered a placement, and then we would just move forward from there. Other programs may seek to have slightly different criteria, but what is important for families to know is that we maintain their place. We may just be picking slightly different criteria based on the program to ensure the program runs effectively. There's a question around transportation, and I'll just reiterate that for our elementary focus programs, for families that are out of catchment, they're required to provide their own transportation. There's a question around how do we determine our numbers for each program, and so we have a set number of classrooms in each program. Those classrooms are then allocated student spaces as if they were a regular classroom. So for instance, a grade 1, 2, or 3 class will continue to have a class cap of 20, as with a class in an English Talk program or a French immersion program, for instance, unless they're one of the classes, small number of classes that can exceed 20. For our classes from grades 4 through 8, we're really looking at a class size of 25 in each program. So those class sizes really dictate the number of spaces. And as I mentioned, like a program such as Sage Quest, or a program such as the hockey program, the high performance program, as multi-year programs, they'll already have a group of students who will be moving into their second year, which limits the number of spaces available. I see a question in regards to looking at the RA Riddell website for an application. So our application will be done centrally, and we've posted the link. It is on that main page where we have information about each program. We will have our application there as well. I see a question around if a spot becomes available during the school year, will it be offered to someone on the wait list? And yes, it will. It should be offered in order of the wait list. It's a process we use with our grade 1 French immersion process as well. So I continue to move through the questions. I see that there's questions around siblings, and I'll just reiterate as well that as with our French immersion process, we do strive to add siblings into a program before we do a fully random application process to support families. It's a process that has worked well over time in terms of French immersion. It's not a guarantee. Having a sibling in a program, because a sibling would need to be in the program next year, not historically in the program, and moved on to another school. We absolutely would like to see siblings enter programs, but there has to be enough spaces. And if there are more siblings than spaces, then we can't meet that demand within a program. I see that our questions are slowing down. I see a really great question, and thank you for asking it, around how can you support students with individual education plans and IEP if you don't require knowing the student's profile? So we absolutely want to understand the student's profile so we can support them. However, what we don't want to do is to create a potentially ableist process that excludes students because they have an IEP. So it's on acceptance of the program and the work in then moving a student and preparing for a student from their existing school into a program where we really do want to know the student well, including their IEP. We also have opened the open response within the application that lets families put information that would help the school support their child, is a place where families can provide that information, that my child has an IEP, or my child would benefit from, or my child perhaps has an allergy that's of concern. That's where important information of that nature can be added. What we don't want, and what our process is looking to avoid, is any notion that we are creating barriers to students based on their identities. That's our commitment to human rights. That's our commitment to equity as an organization. So evaluating a student's application based on if they have, for instance, a learning disability really should play absolutely no impact on their entry into any of these programs. Instead, the onus is on us as a school board to ensure that the student is successful within the program with the supports that they need. Again, I'm just moving through. There's 4 minutes to 7, and I will stay on until 7 o'clock, but I'll just take this time to pause, extend my gratitude and thanks to everyone who stayed with us over the past hour now, and has shown interest in having your child or children attend one of our focus programs. This is a first year of our central application process, this central communication strategy and presentation. So it's absolutely a learning opportunity for us. As I noted at the outset, this is also important work for us organizationally in terms of making sure that we're removing barriers to access to programming as much as we possibly can for our families. A few key messages to leave you with include application process opens tomorrow at our elementary focus programs website. It'll run until the 23rd. It is not first come, first serve. It's random selection. So no need to rush to make an application at 9 a.m. tomorrow at all. You have 3 weeks to do so. If your child's already in the program, you do not need to reapply. You only need to reapply, or you only need to apply rather, if you are having your child enter the program at the entry point. If you have a child who's older than the entry point, please just contact the school to ask if there is space for next year to join the program. A reminder again around transportation. that for families that are moving out of catchment into the programs, then transportation is not provided. Your student is welcome to attend, but we're not able to provide transportation at this point. And with that, I am going to wish everyone a good night. I'm not seeing a few additional questions here. And I see, and thank you to Nick Benner, who's with me, for entering back into the chat area email addresses for each of the schools, and then our central info at hwdsb.on.ca. I wish everyone a great evening.